All right, here we go. Is this thing on? I think it's on. I'm trying to use noise suppression tonight. Hopefully I get a little less echo in the recording. My new office has absolutely no sound editing, so it's basically one gigantic echo chamber. Just one sec, making sure I have the last little bits. All right, we already got some people in here. How's the audio sound, everyone? Okay. And Raffle. Sounds good? Okay. Dope. All right. Let's switch it over into game time. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming out. Do some streaming. Some streaming. Whoa, William Salas. I think that's William, right? How's it going, dude? All right, we got a good turnout already. Hopefully, I think Grayscale Gorilla is hosting us right now. On their Twitch. Let's check their Twitch real quick. Twitch TV, C4D Live. And I think we're being hosted by them. So this should... Yeah, this should trigger their users to come hang out with us as well, which would be cool. I'd really like to get some more people than last time. We had a good amount of people. I think we peaked out around 49 actually logged in Twitch viewers and user accounts. I got more reports from people that were just lurking. So hopefully we have a good time tonight. Okay, it's 7 p.m. It's time to start talking cycles. The first thing that I want to do is do some quick amendments to some stuff that I showed off on Tuesday. One really big thing being how you say displacement. So I'm gonna make a plane real quick, just a quick little cinema plane. If we have any like new cinema users that are in the chat that don't know cinema and are just here kind of checking out because they saw somewhere that someone's doing something cinema related, we're talking about Cycles render engine and how it works inside of cinema, and I'm answering questions and about X particles, cinema, anything that you guys have questions about. I'm happy to answer. If you're not familiar with Twitch, it's not really. This isn't really like a. This isn't like an NAB or a SIGGRAPH or whatever. This is a much more like conversationally community-driven environment where we kind of work together to do something fun, like play a video game or get creative. And tonight, what we're doing is part 2 of a Insidium. These guys right here, this logo over here. They sponsored again to give away a seat of Cycles 4D, their new render engine. So yeah, hey Ron Rendered. If you guys are here for the first time and you haven't hit that follow button for me, because I am going to be doing this a lot more on the reg. I was doing it for a while last year, but things got crazy, and I really like doing it. And these two, so far this week, has been really fun. So hit that follow button, and every time I go live, you will get an alert from me saying that I am live. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into...
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
All right, thanks for the follow. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and do my amendment to how I showed off displacement in a very, very poor way last time. Displacement in cycles is it requires a couple
Damn,
things to be done.
son, where'd you find this?
Ron Ryder, thank you for the follow. First and foremost, we're going to need a cycles object material to put on our object. This is the object that we're going to displace. The next thing that we're going to do...
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Amber's Designs, thank you for the follow. The first thing that we're going to need to do is give some lighting to our scene, because right now, we're running the real-time preview, but we have no visibility at all.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Nothing going on. Hey, Ramses, thank you for the follow. So I am going to create a Cycles 4D environment object, and that's going to immediately create a background texture for us. This background texture is going to have a shader. All blue nodes are shaders. Like if we go into our shaders and make an add shader or a mix shader or any other shader type that we have available to us, it's going to be blue. So that's one of the ways that you can kind of visually make discrepancies between different things. In the background texture setup, you have a lot of shaders removed because you don't need them. And there's no reason why you would ever need to put a glossy material or shader into the output of a environment shader. It just doesn't work. It wouldn't do anything. So what we want to do is use a texture, image texture. And I'm going to pass the image texture's color value to the background shader's input color node. Right now it's going to give me this magenta color. The damn sun is too loud. Am I too quiet? Here, I'm gonna boost my output levels. Let me know how's that coming through. Am I louder now? The damn sun shouldn't happen too often. For the most part, I should be louder than it. So it's going magenta right now because
damn, son, where'd you find this?
There we go. How was that in comparison? Yeah, Ron Render, that would be cool to see it similar to the way the Octane goes. This is a 1.0 release from Insidium. If you guys have used X-Particles in the past, I think that you can take a good look at where X-Particles was when it came out and where it is now, and kind of get a sense that, like, oh yeah, these guys update their software quite frequently and often add beautiful quality of life updates to their software. So textures are always going to be purple nodes. Let's go ahead. I wanted to try this out. This is just to give a little shout out to the Grayscale Gorilla folks. There is a plugin that they have called it's not a plugin, it's like a tag / plugin called HDRI Link. And what HDRI Link does is let you link together and what I'm going to do here is use Grayscale Gorilla Collections. I'm going to use for our environment museum parking lot from their commercial collections. I'm going to say no to this, but one thing that I want to do, because I really like their plugin, is to show it off really quick. This should update here in a second. I'm going to take the link from, and sorry if I crashed this because this isn't actually supported entirely, but I'm going to drag the link to this file path right here up to HDRI Link, giving it the ability to update that file path. Oh, yeah, I have it installed. Let's forget that for now. I have a weird install of Cinema going on right now, and it's not going to give us a good kind of show off of how well HDRI Link works. My plugins directory is on a folder on my hard drive that's in a box folder because I have multiple machines that I work at in different locations, and it's just giving me errors. So anyway, HDRI Link is great. I will show it off in another stream. But for now, let's go ahead and do Creative Office from the Commercial Locations Kit. And I'm going to not move it and let it update. And I'm going to turn the strength down because I found that it comes through just a tiny bit bright. I'm also gonna, you know what, I think I need to rebuild my cycles environment. I think I just bugged it out there. So let's go ahead and create another cycles environment. Let it update. Let's delete this background texture since it currently has a weird floating Espresso Python connection that we don't have anymore. Let's give it an image texture. Let's pass the color. Hit our little ellipses and go to Creative Office. I'm going to say no. Do not move it. Please work. Oh my gosh, I am such a dummy. I'm sorry, guys. I need texture, environment texture. There we go. The image texture would never work. And now I'm going to turn this down a touch to 0.7. 0.7. Give it a second to update in the magenta window. Boom! Creative Office. Now, you notice we have a little bit of fireflies. In my new.c4d file that I created, I forgot to set this up. I'm going to put my, oops. Yeah, that's fine, Sobel. I'm going to do, actually, no, let's make sure that's reset to, make a new render setting real quick. Just want to make sure I didn't accidentally change that to Sobel. If it's not default Sobel, I think it's default Sobel. Yeah. So let's keep that Sobel. I'm going to change my GI clamp to 5 and 6. This is clamping the direct light and the indirect light. Link is not released yet. But it's awesome, and I think that if they get more people asking, hey, when's this coming out, that they might be a little more fast to push it out. They're kind of drowning with the render engines that they currently have to support. So, all right, we have an environment texture set up. The samples are low, so we still have a little bit of fireflying happening, and also this is just a regular diffuse with no roughness, so it's going to be a little noisy in general. But let's set up displacement. So I'm going to go to my object material. You can see that the node editor just kind of is quickly updated for us. And I'm going to apply to the plane a cycles tag, a cycles object tag. And in the displacement, I'm going to set the subdivision type to Capmol Clark, and we're going to come back in a second. My YouTube channel is, one sec, I will post that for you guys. I should have that down in the lower bar, but I do not. My YouTube channel is the same name as the channel, the name of this channel. It's Casey's On channel on YouTube. I'll add it to the lower bar so people can see that too, and try to make it a little more apparent. All right, so we just made a quick little setting to our cycles object tag and the displacement and changed the subdivision type. And then also in our render settings, we want to set it to experimental. By default, it's going to be set to supported. So we want to make sure this is set to experimental because that's where micro poly displacement comes into play. I'm going to go ahead and load in a texture, image texture, and I'm going to load in a texture from the realdisplacementtextures.com website. And let's just go ahead and do soil stones. And let's grab the bump map. The bump map is what we're going to use for displacement. Let's go ahead and hit open. I'm going to say no, because I like the textures to stay there and I don't like them copying all over the place. Before I do a render or something, I'll do a file collect. So now I have an image loaded that will act as our displacement texture. But it currently has RGB, well, it technically only has black and white values because the real displacement textures folks are very good at creating textures and they only have black and white values. But to get it into this little node section right here, this displacement section, I want to be sure that only black and white values are coming in just to make sure anything I put in there comes through as a correct displacement map. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, create a converter, RGB to black and white. This is going to convert any RGB color data
where'd you find this?
Into, thank you, IT Brent, for the follow. This is going to convert any color data into a 0, 1 based black and white value that we can use for any gray node. So any color value, any gradient, any texture that has color values in it, we always want to convert it to an RGB to black and white node in order to get actual values out of it. So let's just go ahead and dump this into the displacement node. Boop. Wait for our real-time preview to update. And you notice that it's happening, it's starting, but it's very shallow. It looks cool, but it's shallow. So what I want to do before we get to the displacement node is go to converter, math. I'm going to connect this right here by sliding it up into the range. It'll just automatically snap to it. So if you suffer from espresso node linking fatigue, this is something that you're going to find quite handy. And also, if you ever want to just like break the links, you can go Alt and drag. You'll get this red line, and you can just slice nodes. So if you just want to slice a whole bunch and disconnect them, you're going to be really good. So I'm going to kick the value into the top one, and the value into the displacement. And I'm going to switch this material, or this math node, from add to multiply. And this is going to let me amplify the values that are within the black and white shader that we've created from our RGB image. So if I take this and say crank it up to 25, I'm immediately going to get a lot more detail on the surface of this. And you know what? This is a decent displacement texture for a very subtle ground. But let me grab, let's go sand, dirty, muddy. Yeah. No, that doesn't look very good. I want one with like a lot. Here we go. Whoops. I grabbed the AO. I want the bump. Here we go. So let's crank this up. So right now, what we're looking at. Hey Dan, how's it going? The stream has been going for about 15 minutes. So right now you can see that we currently have just like a flat plane with bump happening in it. It's not true displacement. This is just a regular parallax bump. And now if we go to output, or actually anywhere, we don't have to go to output node. We can go to anywhere in this node graph and go to our materials settings and change this bump to both. And as long as we have experimental on and our texture tag set to a displacement amount, we are going to see an immediate realization of micro-poly displacement. So obviously, in our node settings, this 76.88 is just dumb high. So let's just turn this down to 1 and get a human. Oh, we can go to a little more dramatic. Let's go 5. And then what we want to do from there is increase our dicing scale. Our dicing scale is what's going to be what increases the amount of subdivisions. In my last video that I did, I actually showed this off. Let's just go 60. And let's change this. Let me make sure I have this on the right one. Let's go linear. Do we need to also... This shouldn't matter, but it is kind of big. And then we can subdivide it further with this fella here. This is an odd, like, dry, stippled, muddy texture. I have one that has, like, an actual stick in it. Let me grab that one. Yeah, this one has a sweet stick. Bump. No copy. Yeah, here we go. This guy looks way better. So let's go ahead and look over here. So this is... Could you move the chat overlay? Can't see. Oh, you can't see the attribute window? I'll move this guy away, and then chat will just kind of float. So yeah, so this is the displacement. This is micro poly displacement. I actually don't need that many polys on the surface, but you can like balance out the different values. Let's go ahead and play with this really quick. So I'm going to go 20 and 20. We're going to see some polyfacets going on there. And then if we go into here and increase this to, let's go up high. Yeah, so it's kind of like a balancing of both of them, but the micro poly really gets in there and does a lot of work for you. Like we don't need it that high. Whoop. 900, too high. 90 is what I meant. But yeah, this, and then you can control this again even more by adjusting your slider in the multiply tab that we made. Go up, get some bonkers displacement going, change it back down to just 1, get back down to like a more subdued displacement. But yeah, that's micro poly displacement. Let me actually change this back to Catmull. See if this should smooth it out, actually. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's actually really fast. And make a sphere really quick. Delete that. Crank our subdivision on our sphere a little bit. Oh, we need our tag. Oh, that's an environment. Cycles. Object. Displacement. Why is it going by the decimal there? That's just silly. But yeah, so that's micro poly displacement. Yes, I would recommend using a multiply stuff. Yes, I started the drawing. Just go ahead and type cycles for me. No, not really. The displacement sort of just works. I think on like things like cubes, you'll end up with problems like with UV tiling, like similar to Octane. But it just kind of works. I mean, I use the multiply node in front of a lot of things because I just like to use it as like a slider to be able to control, like, you know, how things work. Oh, we have plenty of pro tips. Plenty of pro tips tonight. So yeah, that's the correction to displacement. And now what did I want to do next? Right. Let's delete this stuff. Let's keep the environment. Let's delete this. Let's get rid of that. Exit Twitch. We don't need to see notifications from people that are coming online to play. Have a sip of LaCroix real quick. Dan, actually, you can you can use cycles on the CPU. You can use it on a GPU. You can use it on an AMD GPU. It's an excellent render, and it's actually I would throw it at, I would say 100% you should use this at your school because it's run by Insidium, who make X particles, and the core of it's developed by Blender, a great charitable foundation developed by students and artists and authors. But yeah, it has an OpenCL renderer that renders basically the same stuff that a CPU can render, slightly different in some cases. Oh yeah, LaCroix, Pamplemousse. I wish they sponsored this channel. If they did, I would mention them on every stream, and I will continue to mention them on every stream, regardless of if they sponsor me or not. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do was just a quick little recap on something that we did in the stream. Someone asked me to do a simple logo on a text on an object. So what I did was actually made an alpha of the dealio, but you can actually just use the data within the image itself without having to make. So let's go ahead and make two materials here. Let's make a shader. Let's make a mixed node. Let's get the two linked up. Let's have one be this cyan color and one be this magenta-esque purple color. Actually, that's not going to matter because we're going to go texture, image texture, color to color. And we're going to load in a documents, streams, sponsors, insidium.png. Nope. And then what we're going to do is, let's see how this renders at the moment. Then we're also going to create a, oh, I put an environment texture. Oh, geez. Again, man, for some reason with the microphone in front of me, I keep, yeah, there is a tut for this actually on in the documentation, but I just wanted it to be image texture corrected digitally for my own safety and the safety of my family. All right, so we got an image texture, and what I'm gonna do, because I want that image texture to be on top of there, is I'm going to do a converter, RGB to black and white. I dump this into here. I'm gonna take this value into here, and now we're gonna have the inverse. Boop. I don't need to do what I did last time, which was, yeah, the documentation is great, but just for stream viewing purposes, last time I opened Photoshop and made a matte of the object.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Absolutely unnecessary. Thanks for the follow, Willem. There's a decal. There's a real-time viewer spinning in real time. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to do was something that perplexed me when I was first starting out with the engine itself. I was curious. I assumed that this would work. I'm gonna make a cube, solo out my cube, get it nice and up and close and center. I'm gonna make it editable, and I'm going to select a face, and I'm going to set new selection. Now I'm going to create a shader or a cycles material, object material. I'm going to drop it on here, and in the material, I'm going to pass it a selection. And JC, this is also in the manual, but sometimes people don't read the manual. But let's check this out. I've given it the selection, so it should only be happening on that selection. But if we open this material and change the color, we're going to notice that it's on everything. It's not actually only affecting that selection. So I was like, wait, WTF? So what we have to do to get materials piping through selections is use a mix node. And in order to access that, we need to have something to mix it with. So we're going to use one of my favorite nodes, the attribute node. And the attribute node has this beautiful custom parameter in here that has a simple string input that lets you develop a factor through it. So if I right click on my cube, go to cycles, and create an attribute, I now have this dialog here where I can add a new attribute. And I can say, this attribute is called polygon, or in the manual they say polycell. And because it's in the manual, I'm going to stick to that naming, because that will be a common ground for all of us all after we've all read the manual to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this I'm going to drag this poly selection into the tag here. So that is now going to create a cycles accessible attribute for that poly selection. So now, if I create another diffuse shader and give this another delicious color, create a shader, mix shader, slip that in there, slip that in there. I'm gonna have a weird like skin tone, like a cartoon skin tone. But if I take this factor value and drag it up my mix shader, I'm now going to be able to select or to control on what area the material is being applied based on our custom selection attribute. And this is really cool because this means that we can do things like, well, okay, so the thing that I get excited about this level of control is what really excites me about this is that we can take those math nodes that I've been showing. So let's go ahead and create a converter math. Oop. Oh, we'll need this. So that wasn't too bad of a misclick. So I'm going to get an RGB to black and white. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and scoot this stuff over here. And I'm also, actually, I'm going to make another, so this is going to be our main mix shader here. Now I'm going to make another mix shader that I'm going to pump this into, and I'm going to give everything an overall glossy overlay. And let's move this up here, and let's pump this into that. So now everything's going to have a little bit of gloss, but I'm going to use, so that way we have, you know, a way to start our dielectric PBR material. And I'm also going to use a input Fresnel into my factor there so that I'm not getting just constant, well, I shouldn't be. Let's reload it. Okay, yeah, it's happening. Might want a little bit of roughness. Just blew it all out. This HDR is just getting wild with us. Okay, so let's put it right there. That's not really a valid IOR. Okay, so what I want to do now, invert the Fresnel. Well, if I was going to invert the Fresnel, I could, but I'd be better off just going like this and using a layer weight. The layer weight can take facing, and the facing I can control the blend to control the different values and get like a more like dynamic. Sure, I can bevel the cube. Selection stays in play, and I also have. I wonder if I could use the. Does anyone remember what the selection tags are for bevels? If you remember them, type them in the chat, and I'll attempt to use the wildcard. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna rotate this so I stop looking at that hard reflection that's happening in the window. R1 is the bevels. All right, so I'm gonna make a. Can I just add a blank selection tag? Okay, let's try this. I'm gonna add a new attribute, and I'm gonna call this one R1. Can I add? I can just add a regular. Yeah, set new selection with nothing, and then inside I can go R1, right? Capital R? Yeah. Okay. So that will give us another thing to play with. So let's select R1, and then let's go ahead and let's duplicate our attribute node by holding Control. Let's call this one R1, and then our factor. That did not work. Did we call it? Huh, that didn't work. How very odd. I'm going to report that as a bug. Very interesting. I will report that as a bug. That should definitely be supported. Okay, that's not entirely what I was trying to go through anyway. So you know what? This environment is distracting me, so I'm gonna go with something with a less dramatic. Let's go museum parking lot from the Grayscale Gorilla commercial HDR pack. Here we go. Much less distracting for the environment. No, the attribute tag can be called anything. I can call that bevel edge or bevel wall or potato. It doesn't really matter what I name it. So let's go back to our object material. And what I'm going to do is... Whoa, something's happening. Something on my system just got wildly slowed down. But we're back. Hello, Brograph. Okay, so what we're going to do now is create an image texture. And whoop, nope, get away from there. Oh, I left it too long. Factor. So in this image texture, I'm going to create a noise texture. I'm going to use cell noise because it's cool. I'm going to collapse this. I'm going to RGB to black and white. Actually, I don't need to RGB to black and white this yet. What I want to do is use the selection attribute to eat away at the edge of our selection. So in this area, I want to be able to chew this up and mix in some of the pink. So what I'm going to do is, let's think about this. I'm going to need a math. Also, you know what? I keep doing that. I don't have a math node in here, but now that I have one math node in here, I'm just going to forever control drag from there. So if you guys see me right click and make another math node to say, no, control drag your previous math node. Because I don't need any more math nodes. I have all the math nodes I can never need. Once you have one, you're done. Patent pending. So I'm going to take this image texture and I'm going to pump it into here. And that will give me our selection tag bleeding in to the other parts of the material itself, bleeding into the other parts of our object. But if I subtract it, let's flip this. There we go. Now I can chew away at the object faced just right there. And then if I want to, let's see, color, converter, color ramp, take this factor into here and replace it into this. I should be able to like feather the edge or so. I have to flip this real quick. Sorry, like a billion of you out there. I am also still learning this engine, so I just wanted to try this out really quick. What I'm basically trying to do is eat away at just the edge, so I can have this material just on the selection, but kind of eaten away without using like an image texture that is an eaten away alpha. Oh, I know what I can do. Here we go. Let's delete this. Let's go factor to factor. Let's get back to the way it was. So that should be noise right there. And then let's make another guy right here. And let's make another image, a noise texture. And for this one, let's do a gradient, a circular gradient, or let's try a box gradient. And then let's go ahead and try it like this. Try like this. The box is mapped all the way around. Is there an input for...
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
I'm going to figure this out. I'm not going to figure this out tonight, but I'm going to figure this out because I would really like to be able to procedurally erode the edge. I know that I could do it through vectors. I know that eventually I can figure out how to do via mapping. I can map these fellows right here. And only thing I need to figure out is the texture coordinate object space, potentially. Let's try generated. No. All right, big news. Adam just got cycles running on his EC2. That is terrific news. Okay, so let us depart from this scene. I basically just wanted to kind of show you guys how to play around with the different the attribute node in terms of how it functions with the selection tag in your scene. I still had some stuff about point density that I did not go over on the last stream that I wanted to talk about. So let's do that. You guys want to play with some Turbulence FD and X particles? The other things you can do with the attribute node. Yes, personal cloud rendering. Don't pay the other guys to do a job you already can. Okay, let me get a file for us to use. I can also build the file. That's not really a big deal. But I have a really good fire setup that I'd rather just start from and build from there. If you guys see me looking to the left right here, it's because I'm going through a file structure that I don't necessarily want to be recorded on stream. Okay. So this was something that was shared on the beta that I think is really, really, really cool. It's basically using the point density of the X particle that's been emitted. It's asking for the X particle color, and then it's going to apply that color based on its position to other particles to color the X particles themselves. Let's go ahead and hit play. I'm going to turn the emission up. Let's turn up some more. So I think Mohammed shared this, or Lothar, or someone on the beta forums had shared this originally, and I just thought it was a really good example to show off,
son, where'd you find
how
this?
Point density works. You can see in our editor that we have these particles here that have their various colors, and the colors themselves are based on their movement. The particles are rendering their colors, so they're coming out doing their colors. But if you have an X particles trail going on, like this, in a non-linear mode that's made of a whole bunch of broken segments, but basically it's just a bunch of 2-point splimes that are connected to each other. You can't render trails the same way like I showed on my last stream. It just doesn't work. There's no way to calculate the growth or the speed or the velocity or anything. It just doesn't work. So when you're using this style of X particles trickery, like if we have a XP turbulence and we're doing some curly plexus jig, and we want to color our trails based on our particle color, we need to be able to inherit that color to it somehow. So we're taking the values and we're giving it a radius of influence. The bigger the radius, the higher the emission strength is going to be from the color value that's being provided. And the voxel size, this is really important because this is what's defining like the shape and size of the voxel that's being rendered. I think I have should be displacement, logo open, point density. So this is what I showed on the end of the stream on I showed this at the end of the stream on Friday or on Tuesday. Just a ton of particles getting dumped out inside of a cube with a volume texture on it. And when rendered, the point density of the X particles is rendering a... Oop, there may be too many particles in there. May have just crashed it. This might have been a demo scene that I was reporting a bug with. I may have opened the wrong thing. I think this viewport's too big. Yeah, there's a lot of particles in here. But yeah, so I talked about this at the end of the show on Friday. I'm rendering these particles using their age as their emission value. So as they are born, they sort of are brighter, and as they are about to die, they are dimmer. We can also use the particle color to define the same thing. Give it a second to upload, and we'll see it switch over to this purple and blue gradient. Let me hide this from the editor so we can see the particles. So this is point density, the point density node, and this is how it's actually rendering on the trail object itself. It's a super handy utility node. As you can see, the rendering of them as particles, as volumes themselves, is a little bit slow. Where is the one that I made? It's called like test or something. Test things. Here we go. This was the end of the night on on Tuesday. This is what I made. And I thought this framing and like the way how fast this rendered and everything came out kind of cool. So I'll just do this one again real quick. This is the X particles color being rendered as a volumetric spherelet that's additive over the other spheres itself and creating this gaseous looking space nebula sort of, I don't know, otherworldly, I guess. It doesn't look like a regular particle sim type render. It looks different for a GPU renderer. It looks, you know, I think it looks amazing. But the attribute node, I was going to do point density, Turbulence FD. That's what we were doing. We were going into turbulence. Okay, let's open up a new scene. Or let's start from... They actually had a really good turbulence scene to start from. Well, let's start from... Let's screw it. Let's see if I can remember the order of layers to go through in order to get the Turbulence FD looking right. All right, so let's first make a what do they call it, little fella? Let's just make a disk. This disk will be our emitter plane for Turbulence FD. Let's make a container. One sec. It starts out so small. God, I can't wait for Joshua to update this plugin so much because it starts so small. Like, I don't know anyone who's ever made a fire sim inside of that box. Have any of you guys ever started a fire sim or a smoke sim inside the default values of a Turbulence FD container? I want it big. I also want everything to be relative to the floor. I really don't think that that's too much to ask. Like, everything should just be relative to the floor at all times. I don't understand why it's not relative to the floor. Okay, so let's create a turbulence emitter, and let's just do some interesting stuff to it to get a cool effect. Let's give it noise for the volume container. Let's make it gaseous. I know Drop It plugin will fix that, but I try to limit the amount of plugins I have because I've already got a lot going on, and I have to make sure that these are all on all the machines that I have. And yeah, it's a good plugin. I just wish it was standard. Okay, so there's my Gaussian material for inside of our volume. And let's go ahead and scale this, or no, clamp this a little bit. Oh, you know what we'll do? Since we couldn't use HDRI link, to make this sim a little bit more interesting to play with, I am going to use Signal from Grayscale Gorilla. And I'm going to go into my Turbulence FD parameter, and I'm going to grab my, what should we grab? I think our low clip. I'm going to drag this low clip value right here, up to the top right here. And I'm going to make a, right here. Boop. So I'm going to get this tribute floating real quick. I'm going to lock it. And I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to add a sine wave. I'm just going to hit play real quick. I'm going to pause this. Our start and our end. Okay, I just want to get a little bit of feedback in there. Turn this down a little bit. Base. Output. All right, cool. So this will give me a little bit of flutter into the volume container. And I could use Espresso, I guess, to link the two parameters to like a wave or whatever, but I don't like going to Espresso. We're currently not talking. We don't need the point action structure yet. We have this going on here. All right, now we need to set up a couple things for our simulation. I want it to be interesting looking, so I'm going to give it some bold parameters. I'm not going to lock them or anything. I'm just going to give them some stuff that I know sort of will give us what I want. I want some wispy stuff. I want some wiggity stuff. And I want there to be, I'm going to add another signal tag. And this one I'm going to add to our force pressure. And I'm going to add a cos, so it's working a little different than our other. Add a little variation. I'll turn on the strength a little bit. And now in our tag, we should have some pressure going up and down. We don't want it to go negative too much though. So let's go to our pressure and go to our base. And let's make our start value 5. Okay, cool. So now let's take our disk and put it up here. And let's go ahead and start our simulation. Let's save this as Thursday, demo, TFD, density, no space, 01, final. And now for our container, let's give it a path. I know where my Turbulence FD caches live, so I'm just going to type my path in rather than go searching for it. I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to cache velocity because at some point I know that I'm going to want to use X particles with it. I'm going to increase my voxel size by quite a large amount just because we want to get our simulation looking cool first. Oh, and you know what? Hey, let's do this. Let's create another signal tag and let's put our Y coordinate in it. And let's add a sawtooth wave. And let's add some variation. Oh yeah, sawtooth is not fun. All right, here we go. So we want this. There we go. All right, that's cool. And let's get some more timeline to work with here, because fluid sims take a little while to curl up and get fun. And also in our turbulence under simulation, let's go ahead and kick our temperature up just a little bit because we don't want it just filling with fluid and not doing anything fun. All right, save. Let's open our simulation window. Make sure we're not using our display GPU. Save, start. Haha! After all of those settings that we just input, we forgot a critical thing. Under our emission container, we forgot to add parameters. So I'm going to set my temperature value to 3 and my burn value also to 3. Because I want two different things to be able to use as an attribute inside of cycles. 1 in temp. You want 1 in temp? All right, 1 in temp. And then we'll do 1 in burn as well. I usually start big, work it back from there. Yeah, it's not hot enough. 3 and 3. Too much cooling. 1% cooling. No, I haven't found the high. Crossfader asks, have I found that using higher values gives you a bigger difference? No, I haven't found that they give me a bigger difference, but I usually start with a large value and work my way back in the majority of cases with stuff that I'm working with. All right, this is more what I was looking for. The interactive render will only display a disk moving up and down because we haven't created a volume shader yet. But I'm using a GPU for the real-time preview and a GPU for the simulation, so they won't collide. Now, the bold thing to do would be to start building my Turbulence FD material on top of the volume while this is all happening. But that would be silly. I don't like this sim. It's not pretty enough. So I'm going to increase my smallest size to 70 and my largest size to 190 because I want it to be much more floaty and ethereal. I don't want it to look violent. I want it to be a pretty sim. I still feel like that's not great, but I assume it's because of all the pressure that we're advecting inside of it and stuff. Yeah, let's do this. Let's get rid of the pressure one. There we go. That's a little better. I actually still like to I think that I want to still increase this more because my container is 1900 by 1900. Okay, so let's go 190 by 300. My voxels are currently at 7. They're not high. I can go down. I'm well within the range to go down to 3. It really comes down to my volume texture right now. Well, we're just gonna run with this one because I want to start playing with the shading. Casey, are you finding your renders to be noisy? The example scenes from Obsidian look pretty bad. I'm not sure they had the settings low for the accompanying. I'm not sure if they had the settings low for the accompanying renders. I think the vast majority of them for you to play with are set up just strictly to play with, set at like 4 samples or 6 samples in render. They can easily be upped more. I wouldn't judge the renderer necessarily by those sample renders. In the interactive preview, I know their samples are very low. So there's that always. Let's see. Let's get to 200, and then we'll stop this TFT sim. I think it'll be cool enough. LaCroix, delicious. I think he means interactive cache. Interactive cache on the TFD panel dropdown. Oh, does that mean that it will? Oh, I see what you're saying. It goes a lot slower than that, doesn't it? When you interactive cache. Yeah, but doesn't that make it slower? All right, hold on. Red light. Red light. All right, interactive. Well, what does that mean? Oh, anyway, we have a cache. It goes to about whoa. Where we stop? Right there. All right, 147. So that number is weird. Oh yeah, I don't typically. Usually when I'm doing turbulent stuff, it'll be like, hey, we want smoke to look like this, and I kind of like, I think I know how that'll work. Hold on. Let's see what this is. Hey, are these 3D? Are these real pictures? Is that real? In animation. Whoa. Look at that caterpillar. Dude, fucking Blender's kids, man. Oh, Inception. That's... Okay, the dynamics on that are terrible. Much better dynamics on this guy. They should have hired this guy. Why is there a windmill right there? Cool. That was awesome. Yeah, so obviously don't worry about your noise in your render engine. Okay. So... Whoop. Still got YouTube playing. Sorry, guys. Cycles is pretty freaking awesome, man. It's damn good. Damn good. We have 4 people that are viewing that aren't currently registered in Twitch chat. I highly recommend that you do that, because if you're in chat and type !cycles for me, you have a chance in the next 5-10 minutes to win a license of Cycles 4D. Unless you're just kind of like trolling and rolling, then I guess... Oh, one of you left. I really think the Cycles has a lot more than just a MoGraph visual style. I think it has a photoreal visual style, but then the ability to rip hard on MoGraph visual styles, which I don't think other renderers do. Yeah, we currently only have 21 entries in the raffle, guys. Just FYI. There have been 134 people that came out in and out of chat that totally missed the chance. Okay, so let me try it. I have had the question come up a lot. What are the speed comparisons, Octane versus Cycles? I don't know. Personally, I haven't done any tests, because Cycles is fundamentally more capable of a renderer than alternatives for me. And it's much faster than Arnold. It's probably not faster than Octane, but the fact that Octane can't do 90% of the stuff that Cycles can do in with X particles, with MoGraph, with all the other good shit that Cinema 4D has inside of it. Vertex maps. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Vertex maps are coming soon to Octane. But there's a lot of stuff that, I don't want this to turn into which one's better than the other. I personally feel like the work that I do is better suited for Cycles 4D. If you do a lot of ArcViz, if you do a lot of like product, or whatever, that kind of stuff, you might find Octane better. For what I do, I don't find it better. So what I'm gonna do now is I got my thing going here, and I want to I'm gonna grab a shader from another scene that I've already set up and save. I'm gonna make sure this is paused. I'm gonna add this right here. Point density. I'm gonna get, so what I have set up here is basically a simple setup for volume absorption and volume scatter. Well, Thorny, 87. We are going to look at volume speed right now. What I've set up here is basically a series of ramps that are taking in the density of the Turbulence FD temperature channel and the Turbulence FD velocity channel. So I got this reset up. Let's go ahead and hit play. Hopefully not crash. Right now it's loading up the sim, which is fairly big, into the GPU. And here we are. This is the volume rendering of a material setup that I made that is very, very sooty smoke. And then this green and purple that you're seeing here, this is an emissive texture that is being driven by the velocity of our simulation. So if you see these cool gradients right here, this is all what's happening. Let's do this. I'm going to get rid of the add shader entirely, and I'm only going to show you the rendered velocity channel from Turbulence FD. This is vectors being changed into, let's go ahead and turn off the environment as well. So this is the velocity vectors inside the container being rendered as an emissive texture in a 3D space. There's no way to render anything like this from TFD in Octane, and this is like this was basically just a bonkers revelation that when I kind of like started playing with this, because a lot of the time I have to come up with like interesting ways to display and show off data in units and kind of show off like interesting ways to render fields. So when I'm not using 4 GPUs. I'm only using 1 GPU right now. Here, let me do this. I'll pause this. I'll switch to multi-CUDA. I'm going to save. I'm going to take my shader, put it back into my mix, add this back to my volume, and now this is with 4 GPUs loading from a fresh scene. Let me get this nice and big for us to see in a cool kind of perspective. Okay, now I'm gonna hit play. If I crash or the stream drops because I'm running 4 GPUs, well, so be it. So let's hit play. Let's ship it to the GPUs. It's gonna take a second to kind of click over, but it's a pretty big sim. But there you go. It's loading. The volume absorption and scatter is getting mixed through the a gradient ramp, and that is clamping it a little bit fatter than it needs to be for the render, because I wanted a fluffy nebula what I was trying with this. But yeah, this is how it renders volumes. And I really love that I can use this hypercolored velocity channel as something. I can even, just take the color value of let's try this. So I'm going to take a converter, RGB to black and white. I'm going to take the color values. One sec, it's going to update the node. No, this isn't on my CPU. This is on 4 GPUs right now. I'm actually going to switch this back to 1 GPU. So I'm going to take the, one sec, let it update. I'm going to take the color value from the velocity point texture, pass it to my RGB to black and white, and I'm going to just pass this into the emission strength. And this is going to like fill up the whole dome, I think. This should kind of make it a lot brighter. Oh, it just killed it entirely. Interesting. What if I just use the density? Yeah, so like there's still a ton of exploratory things to go on for me inside of cycles. But yeah, I love that smoke. That smoke looks. I really love the way it renders smoke. And this is just a material that I set up like just really quickly while I was trying to figure out how the smoke how to render smoke. When I did a simulation test of it originally, it only took like a minute 30 a frame or so. And we can go into the values here. These sliders basically control the amount of density and the texture that you have available to the render itself. Let's go ahead and pump this back in there because I want my ethereal thing back. But next, what I want to do is use some X particles point density to, look at that. That's pretty fucking sweet. Just using built-in channels inside the Turbulence FD container that are just usually invisible. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and create an XP system. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Just disclaimer, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's set our particle color to a gradient parameter, and let's load a preset. Let's use this rainbow preset. Let's set it to speed. Let's go auto. This should advect. Oh, object. Let's have it emit from our disk. And then in Turbulence FD, let's go to simulation velocity and give our particle a 100% scale value based on our simulation. Actually, let's go ahead and go over 100%. Let's go like 500%, just so we get a little extra movement. Yeah, if you want to see without the environment, let's do that. Let me save this real quick, and I'll kill this system. I'll put this back on. I believe this was at like frame something or other. Let's get in here. Let's go to our cycles environment. Let's create a cycles object tag. Let's turn off the visibility from the camera, and let's hit play again. While we're doing this, let's go ahead and look and see if there's any questions that I've missed. Interactive but full render all the way. Let's go ahead and hit Control B. Let's go to our render settings, and under film, let's hit transparent film. Transparent film will cause the HDRI environment to vamonos. So this is our soon to be, sci-fi movie title, nebula forming in outer space. There was someone that had a question that I wanted to get. Is there any limitation to the cycles if you use GPU render versus CPU? Basically, the speed, and it looks like everyone else kind of chiming in with the differences between OpenCL. But CPU has the same features that CUDA has. CUDA and CPU are, as far as I know, unless I haven't. There you go. P. Noland with the win. Wait, guys. There are 32 people watching, and only 27 of you are registered for chat. The rest of you, whose math ability is not within me to calculate at the moment, need to log into Twitch, and you need to register for the Cycles 40 license giveaway that is here from Insidium. Because if you don't, and I hit this raffle button in like a minute, then you're going to be so bummed. You're going to be like, wait, what's happening? I'm not logged in? But yeah, that might happen. Okay, so what were we doing? Oh yeah, so this is it on black. Hey, cool. That's pretty neat. Let's zoom in if you want. I want to see it up close. Oh, Picker is going to go to bed. Oh man, we should probably do this raffle thing. But yeah, look at that up close. Look at that. I know that if you have followed me on Twitter, or if you're part of #MoshaDesign, I believe I've talked about cycles a bit for the past few months, and these are the reasons why I've been talking about it. This is just quick and easy, fast, interactive GPU rendering that competes with everything else, and has the ability to just flex hard. There is a known speed difference between OpenCL and CUDA. Yes. OpenCL is slightly faster than CPU. CUDA is much more advanced. It kind of looks like a squid hugging like a ghost, or like an octopus hugging some kind of like rainbow ghost. I'm only using one GPU right now. What you've been seeing the entire night on stream is only one GPU. And if you don't have 4 GPUs, then you can work on one GPU and render out using external farms. Have I rendered volumes with Octane? How do they compare? Raw unrendered, every time that I have had some success with rendering volumes in Octane, and my takeaway from a lot of the stuff in Octane is like, it's a slider, and I kind of get it. I don't feel like I was doing it optimized. I don't feel like I really ever learned how to do it correctly, and it was kind of it was like, meh. I don't know. I bet you it's faster in Octane, but it can't do that yet. Okay, so yes, what I wanted to do next is swap this, as JC said very unpolitically correctly, swap this gay Death Eater with some particles rolling through and kind of generating the light that's happening inside as the emission. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save. I'm going to turn off the interactive preview because I'm about to do something that I think might crash. I'm going to increase this up to 500 for now. And I'm going to take my X particles emitter and put it in here and take the color value of it. So now, instead of rendering this rainbow field, what I want to do is render the points as color inside of the clouds. Also, just to chime in on the conversation that's happening in chat about the AWS thing being slower than the multiple 90 Ti's, that is true, but on the server or on AWS, you can launch 100,000 nodes or however many you want to scale and make your 2 look like meh. Your home setup is always going to trump it. Let me go ahead. Yeah, I'll plug this into. I'll plug a flame into this in just 1 sec. Let me turn down the velocity because everything's kind of getting away from it. And turn down the speed. So yeah, I want my particles to sort of stay inside my volume. That's looking good. That's looking good. Okay, let's pause here. And I think this will work. Let's try. I might crash. Aha! I did it! I did it! I knew I could do it. I had faith in us. So now I have taken the X particles that I've advected through the smoke, through the advection, and lit the smoke internally using the color from the radius of the particles that I've created. This is why I use cycles, because I can do shit like this. You can't do this with Octane. Not possible. Just hands down, unrecreatable. Just I'll eat my hat if you come at me with a with an example file that shows that you're doing that. I'll eat a hat, not this Rams hat, but I'll eat another hat. I'm gonna render this tonight as a video and post it for everyone to see. I'll save this file too, so everyone can play with it too. But yeah, this is one of those things that's just like, fuck, like this is what I've been wanting to do. Like this is what I want from a render engine. Like I want to get in like and control the aspects of things. Like for a while I was getting really into Mantra and Houdini, but slow. And you know, our voxel size is 500 right now, but if we wanted to control this, it's not just isn't just some abstract effect. I can reduce the voxel size to bring my color down a little tighter. I can decrease the radius to bring my color intensity point. And let's see our emission. Let's crank this up and make it just look like there's some stars floating. And let's go back to our point density and make our size bigger. Let's crest the ridge right here. See if we can find them. There we go. Now they're starting to come back. Yeah, I don't mean to turn this into a commercial for things that don't ship with Turbulence or ship with Cinema, but these things just like I like these 3 toys just pretty much changed Cinema's placement in like I think motion graphics from Cycles are going to start looking a lot different. I think we're going to start seeing some crazy everydays. I think we need to get this in the right hands of people, which is why I want to do these streams, which is why I want to, you know, keep talking about this stuff with you guys in general and kind of flow from there. But yeah, I'm super stoked this worked. I'm super stoked. I've crashed Cinema a lot trying to get this working right, and I think I finally found the right way to do it. No. This is the one thing that kind of sucks is I'm doing these things and I can't really redo this for NAB. I'm gonna have to go harder and do something like super in depth. But actually, the company I work at, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is R&D for a project that I'm working on. And it maybe I'll be able to show it off, but it's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty fun. I'm having a good time doing it. It's like probably the best project that I've been a part of in a very, very long time. Okay, so it's 8:30 now. Let's see. Do you guys have some questions? Some things that you would like to see me attempt, or would you like me to go over or kind of get into? I kind of wanted to go through the OSL example files that they gave us when we got our downloads. If that sounds interesting to anyone. Oh, fire! Right. Okay. So fire's pretty straightforward. It's very similar to the setup that we have already going here. So I'm gonna take. Let me save this as final to be space version. And I'm gonna save
son,
this
where'd
as
you
final
find this?
to a fire version. It's really funny that you say that, Red J944. The Insidium fellas asked me, to give them a quote for their website, and literally my quote was, "Cycles is the render engine I've been looking for my entire life as an artist. It allows me the ability to blah 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 blah." So I'm right there with you. I'm glad that I'm glad that this is potentially this stream has helped possibly convey that. All right, so fire. So same thing. We're going to start with our point density texture, and we're going to grab our Turbulence FD container into it. So it's going to trip. It might crash because I have it currently set to export color. Oh, cool. It didn't crash. So let's go ahead and set this to TFD burn. That should... Oh, my voxel size is wild. This should do... Oh, you know what? I can't... The color channel actually doesn't output anything. What I need to do is use a color ramp. I cached burn, didn't I, guys? Yeah, I cached burn. One sec. I've got a file with fire set up in it. I had sent... Just 1 second, I'll find the fire. Do 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 do. Come on, where is it? Hot damn. All right, so let's go and just get just the emission shader in our volume. And let's go just straight up density to strength. Make sure I have this on the right. Let's go temperature. Okay, we got something in there. So I'll have to find the exact file where I set it up because it involves many nodes that I'm still kind of getting comfortable with. And I'm sure that tomorrow morning, Mario and Mike will be like, "Oh, why didn't you just look at the thing in the manual?" So let me try this again. Where's my burn? How odd. Whoop. Okay. I think there may also be an example inside of the files. Yes, let's take a look at those really quick. Let's do that, and then let's do the raffle. Let's see who wins. One sec. Dang, I messed this up. Okay, I will figure out the fire thing and post something for you. I need to read up on it more because honestly, I never do fire, so I don't know. Fire's not my bag. Let's close this. Okay, I'm gonna save this. Actually, no, I'm gonna close this. No save. I'm gonna open space version, and I'm gonna render this tonight with a bigger cache and a little camera move, so we can see it in high res. No, entry does not expire. Here, I'll check the raffle. Currently, we have 24 entries. Yep, Red, you're still in. Everyone is still in. Okay. It's going to be anticlimactic. Okay, wait, hold on. We have 29 people viewing right now. There are only 24 people in the raffle. Everyone. Step 1, hit the follow button. Step 2, spam that shit. Spam it. Everyone spam it. If you don't want to win it, that's okay. I'm going to remove myself. If I win, I'll run the raffle again. But I just entered in. Oops. I don't know.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, now we have 26 people. Okay, here we go. Raffle, boom. Oh, Dan the man. Dan the man. Congrats. Hey, Dan, just text me your email address and your address and first name, last name, and I will send it on to Insidium Sales, and they will get you a copy of Cycles. And then you can start teaching Cycles at Laguna College of Art and Design. And I will also tell them that you're a teacher at Laguna College of Art and Design and that you are interested. And then I'll CC you guys and talk to them together. This is actually fitting because Dan's responsible for the job that I have now too. So, just like with Jay. Oh, Alex, you just logged in right now? Oh. Dang, daggers. I'm sorry, guys. So I hope everyone had a good time. This was good. Unless you guys have any questions other than show you fire, I'm happy to do that. If not, I'm going to close the floor for questions. You have been warned, and we're going to call it a night. Awesome. Well, we will be back again. I will be posting this to YouTube as well, yeah. JC, you have a question? Difference between point cloud and X particles node. Okay, yeah, let's show that real quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's copy this, and let's copy this and this into a new file. Paste this stuff. Pause this. So the cycles X particles material will render them as points. Simple points. Wait, we need a shader, object material on here. And we need to set this back to rectangle, hit play, and give it some speed. So now we have some varied speed in our things, but no color being passed. And they're also only being rendered as spheres. So let me open up this material, and let's go ahead and create a shader emission, pass the emission to surface, get rid of, slice. Get this emission to surface, create an input, particle info, and pass color to our emissive color. So now that's just going to render just the color on the spherelets that we have here. These are just spheres that are being rendered just like every other engine would. But if we create a cube around our particles and create a cycles material, object material, add it to our cube, open the cube, delete that, create a let me just double check this real quick. Test thing, point density, emission. So create an input or a texture, a point density texture. Why do I math.multiply it? Go shader, emission, shader, emission, go color. Man, I did it again. I keep wiggling away from the thing I want. Oh, crap. There we go. Let me grab this material real quick. Actually, I can just show you in here. So what's happening in here is on the material, I am... Oh yeah, someone asked about a curvature map. yes, that will definitely work, and it's pretty great. So what I'm doing here is I'm rendering this volume. I'm rendering this sphere as an emissive volume, and then I'm taking the color, converting it into a strength and an emission color. So right now it's just emitting black. There's still a volume here, but it's black. So I'd render this like with an overlay. I'm gonna pause this and hit play to get my particles filling up my sphere. I'm gonna save, then I'm gonna hit play. And now our particles are being rendered as little volumetric voxels rather than spheres. They're being rendered as volumetric objects. So they're like little cloudlets. And they're additive. And they're really cool. So it's slow though, the point density thing. So I hope that answers your question, JC. Yes, let's check out Adam's EC2 testing. $0.55 per hour per 4 GPU node. It's not bad. Could you hypothetically do the same thing with feathered spheres with additive somehow? Sure, you could. I mean, I'm sure you can figure that out, yeah. The spritelet or fuzzy, I think it was. It's sort of like fuzzy, yeah. Except, I don't know. I never got results like this with fuzzy. To me, it's more akin to like the early developments of a GPU Krakatoa. Because all of these little spheres that are being rendered in there are just more tiny dots. So if you render enough of them, you know? But yeah, it's just fun. It's slow. It's not super optimal to render particles like this just yet, but the point density node with particles is a little early on still. But yeah, I think that's it for tonight, guys. I'm gonna get to bed. Tomorrow is my birthday, and I gotta work out in the morning. So, I got a busy day. Thanks again for coming out. This has been a blast. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. Make the GIF play. Make the sound happen. And good night, everyone. Have a good day at work tomorrow.